Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. I am back, I am better, and all the things, all the things. All right, today, day number 29 of body mindfulness. I know, we're getting close, but we're going to have bonus days, okay? I'm not going to number them. They'll just be like bonus days. But these are the things that I think are very important to really uh, round out all the lessons that we've gotten through body mindfulness. Maybe tomorrow's self-care Wednesday, so maybe tomorrow before that we'll just kind of recap and all that stuff, or after Thursday, so next Monday we'll recap. But first, we're not done yet. So today's card: am I focused on what I am losing or gaining? Am I focused on what I am losing or gaining? So this is actually a very good card for today, because today's card is about the universe. So, or your higher power, whichever, whatever makes you happy. So again, am I focused on what I am losing or gaining? Are you going through some change? Are you scared to let go because of what you might lose? What if you shifted your focus from what you might lose to what you might gain? Endings are actually new beginnings. They are. Endings are actually new beginnings. Today's soul action. Today, make a list of all the things you will gain from the change you are going through. Feel your heart, take a breath, and deepen into trust. Amazing things are coming. I think this is a great card. This is a very validating card. It's all the things, right? It's all the things we want and hope for. Sorry, I know. There it is. She's back. But yeah, so, you have to ask yourself, instead of worrying about change and instead of worrying about all these things that might be different and all that, just think about what you're gaining, okay? So again, endings are beginnings. You have to finish one thing to start another, right? And sometimes that's what we're afraid of. It's like, well, will it be the same? Will, blah, blah, blah. There's always something that can try to hold us back. But don't let anything hold you back. You are remember, you are a raw, empowered, independent person, and you can do whatever you want. And even if those things don't pan out, at least you can say you tried. But you might also land where you're meant to be. So, just go with the flow. That is not easy for me to say, because it is not easy for me to do, but just go with the flow. So today's card for body mindfulness: the universe, right? The universe. So, I know you're probably like, wow, you were like night and day from yesterday and today. I just had a lot that I had to deal with. And, nothing, it's just all like, sometimes you just feel like you've been beaten down, emotionally so hard and spiritually, and you just feel like you're battling for everything. That's kind of what it felt like. And I think I hit bottom, and I knew I had to ride through it. And usually I don't ride through it very well, but I took the time I needed. I turned off my phone on occasion, and I journaled my little heart out and all these different things. And I came out on the top. And last night, in the wee hours of this morning, I had to make a choice. Do I keep moving through this even though it's done, or do I just, and so gradually I allowed myself to kind of come out of it. I didn't force myself out of it. I didn't, push myself out of it. I just gradually let myself come out of whatever that weird spiral thing was. So, I'm still a little off center today, but, a little off balance, but I'm feeling much better. And I've decided that, I got to keep pushing forward, right? We got to go with the flow. We got to accept change and just be okay with it. So, and don't worry, nothing's wrong. Sometimes you go through these things, and I had to deal with my brain. So brain dealt with. So now it's kind of like recovery mode in a weird way, So anyways, let's get to the card. And don't forget to think about this card, okay? What am I gaining? What am I focused on? Am I focused on what I am losing or gaining? So that was a really good card. So the universe, or again, your higher power. The card asks you to fully trust that there is a plan for you and that you have the support of the unseen. There are forces at play much larger than you can imagine. Surrender to that which you cannot control and trust in the idea that Spirit is always orchestrating what is most needed. This card may come at a time when a cycle or trial is also coming to a close. Phrase any what if questions in a positive way. What if this is going to be okay? What if this is exactly as it should be? Sometimes we become paralyzed in the practical world because we are waiting for Spirit to show us the way. However, the universe co-creates with us. We must be empowered as humans in this dense reality to show up for what we want and trust that Spirit will do the same. If you are someone who is always asking for signs, try to take a break from that. Trust yourself as well. Now you see, this is exactly what I mean. This card goes perfectly, or this card goes perfectly with this card. Because this card asks you, are you going through some change? Are you scared to let go because of what you might lose? What if you shifted your focus from what you might lose to what you might gain? Endings are actually new beginnings. And then it asks you to make a list of all the things you will gain from the change that you're going through. So when it talks about co-creating, it's saying, look, you've gone through all this work to get to this place where you're starting to learn how to love yourself, where you're starting to learn how to love your body, how to just be mindful and present in this moment, exactly as you are and exactly who you are. But sometimes we sit there and go, why can't I just do that? You have to help me, blah, blah, blah. And we forget that we are the co-creators of our life. We have to, we are given this breath, and then we're basically told, go do something with it. But what are we doing with it? Are we doing what we want to be doing with it? Are we creating chaos in our life? I accidentally create chaos in my life. And by accidentally, I mean, it's just kind of like, really? It's like I just have this open door invite, that just says, hey, come on in, create chaos in my life. And I know. But this is where trust really comes in. This is where going with the flow comes in. This is where you can make that list, and say, hey, what do I have to gain from this change? So let's start with the first paragraph. The card asks you to fully trust that there is a plan for you and that you have the support of the unseen. There are forces at play much larger than you can imagine. Surrender to that which you cannot control and trust in the idea that Spirit is always orchestrating what is most needed. This card is, literally, this card is so self-explanatory. I really don't need to add much more to it. So this may be the shortest perspective in a long time. Literally, it may be the shortest perspective in a long time. But we talked about surrender yesterday. Surrender doesn't mean you're giving up. What it means is that sometimes we have to take a step back and trust our path. We have to trust that even though we try so hard to control every single aspect of our life, we may not be meant to control every aspect of our life. Go with the flow is a term that, goes around the world for a reason. Because some of us are wound so tight. Some of us don't know how to go with the flow. Some of us have to control every single moment of every single day of our lives. And, some of us go beyond that. Some people are so regimented all the way down to the minute that they don't know how to go with the flow. And so they're wound even tighter that if you just kind of bink them, they just explode. They freak out. They have, 20 cows. And, a lot. And then, people just be like, you know what, I'm not dealing with you. But that's because people don't always understand. But there's a reason why we wind ourselves so tight. There's a reason why we feel like we have to control every single thing. Maybe, there's always something that leads up to this. Okay, there's always something that leads up to this. In my perspective and my opinion only, you are either a person who really knows how to go with the flow, or you're a person who's wound so tight. And somewhere in the middle is where we probably want to be, right? But more towards the go with the flow side. I tried to control my life to every detail, and then the thing is that when things don't turn out the way we think they're going to turn out, I can't tell you what's going to happen an hour from now. I know where I'm going to be, but, I can't tell you what's going to happen 24 hours from now. I can't tell you what's going to happen 3 hours from now. But we try to plan these things out, right? At 10 o'clock, I got this. Now if you have meetings and if you're at work, then you know where you're going to be in, at a certain time of the day. But I'm not talking about things that are actually on your schedule. I mean, it's okay to plan. It's okay to plan. But sometimes we have to learn how to not plan every single moment of our day, because when we're wound so tight, the universe might have a little bit of trouble delivering whatever it is you want. The universe might have a little bit of trouble saying, excuse me, knock, knock, knock. I'm trying to get in. Oh, stay out, because, I'm trying to manifest, but I'm not ready for you yet because I'm not done saying what I'm manifesting. No, you know what? It's about the feeling you have inside. So if you're trying to manifest something beautiful yourself and you feel like shit inside, you're probably going to get crap back. Because, the higher powers are just giving you what you're asking for. It's all about feelings. It's about feeling something, right? Using your spidey instinct, knowing that you deserve something. Not asking for something, thinking, oh, well, if I get it, I deserve it. No, you deserve everything. But you have to love yourself first. You have to know that you are worthy. Body mindfulness isn't just about loving our bodies. It's about knowing that our soul, our spirit, everything about us is worthy of something amazing, something beautiful. And if we don't surrender to that control, if we don't surrender to the flow, and we just keep trying to be so regimented and so this, and got to do this at this time and this at that minute. And, if you can't step away from scheduling every single minute of your day, it's going to be harder to learn how to go with the flow. And a lot of times, the unbalanced wildling is a really good indicator of that control. Are you, looking for that external band-aid? Is that why you schedule everything to the T? Because you don't know how to face whatever it is you're trying to face. We have to heal what's inside of us in order to move forward with this body love, with this body positivity, with this body mindfulness, with loving, again, who we are in this moment at this time, who we see in the mirror, who we see in the reflection. If you don't like what you see in the reflection, then change it. Change it. Don't beg for some miracle thing to happen. Just ask for help. Ask for the motivation. Ask for something that, and believe that you deserve it. And I'm telling you, I struggle with that. I struggle with believing that I deserve good things. And that's something I'm working on. And with the body mindfulness, I'm literally hearing what I'm saying. And I'm like, seriously, you're telling these people to do all this, and you're kind of like one of the worst people to do this. And so I'm trying to learn this along with you, because that person I talked about, regimented, that was me. And I feel like, I've kind of lost something in there. And I think that's why I just hit bottom over the weekend, because it's kind of like, ugh, what am I doing? Where am I? Who am I? And then you start going down that existential hole, that existential crisis hole. It might have been an existential crisis that I was having, like legit. So I don't know. I mean, I can't explain my brain. I have a dinged up mental health. Sometimes sometimes my brain goes rogue and I have to figure it out. So it's kind of like trying to figure it out to the last minute, right? Like one of those little, like war games, but with my head. But I know I'm not making fun of mental health issues. Like I said, I have a dinged up mental health, but sometimes when I think back on how I deal with things, it's just kind of like, or how I explain it, like war games with my head. And it really is. It's like, a nuclear meltdown. So, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But remember, when it comes to the universe and it comes to your higher powers, this or something better, okay? This or something better. You cannot pigeonhole your spirit guides. You cannot pigeonhole spirit. Okay, whoever you want to put in the form of spirit, your higher power, the universe, both, whatever. You cannot pigeonhole them and tell them, hey, this is exactly what I want. You better deliver it or else, because they're just gonna laugh at you and go, "You're hilarious. You're hilarious." And yeah, then you'll be sitting there looking red-faced and stupid. So just give them room to work, okay? Because, whether you believe in a higher power or not, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen, okay? Some people believe, I'll get back to you on that one. I'll get back to you on what I was going to say. I know I'm leaving you hanging there. But some people believe that life is predetermined. that everything they're going through is predetermined. And a lot of people don't want to believe that because bad things do happen to people. And you can't imagine that they say, well, I choose for this to happen to me in this life. And so it's hard for some people to get on board with that frame of thinking. I'm not sure where I stand with that yet because, predetermined kind of messes up the whole idea of free will, right? So I don't know. That's something to think about. It's one of those things that can drive you into a hole. But yeah, so just figure out how for yourself is the best way to sort of not basically kind of like I said, don't surrender to the control. Don't surrender to all the bad stuff in your life. Surrender to the flow. Surrender to the flow. It's like, I don't know, think of it as like a lazy river, right? No. We'll go with whitewater rafting. Think of it as whitewater rafting, right? Crazy, scary. You might fall out of the boat, but you got these floaty things. You got your vest on, so you're going to float somewhere. And yeah, it can be dangerous, but no one's going to take you on a rapid that is too dangerous for you. If you're a beginner, they're going to go slow. But one day you'll graduate to that high, to that bigger, crazier, stranger, whatever rapid that, wow, the kind that blows your mind. And you're like, let's do this again. But you have to be the one that decides to get into the water. You have to be the one that decides to get into that raft. The raft isn't going to come to you. You have to get into the raft. It can sit there, it can wait for you, but you have to decide, am I ready to jump into the flow? Am I ready to surrender to that flow? And the reason I'm using whitewater rafting is because when you really kind of watch it and you look at it and you think about it, even on the beginner course, you are kind of just along for the ride. Okay, because that rapid or that little stream of water, it's going in the direction. You can't change the direction that it's going in. You can just get in, sit down, hang on, and just enjoy the ride. And I think sometimes we forget to do that. We surrender to the wrong things. We surrender to that control in our life. We surrender to all the negative things, all the bad things, because we're so afraid to go with the flow. Someone will sit there and say, yeah, but what if I get into the thing and, the raft and we hit a rock? Well, what if you don't? Like I said, nobody's going to take you on a rapid that you're not ready for. They're going to, and you always have that guide, right? Don't go doing it on your own if you don't know what you're doing. Bring someone with you that knows what they're doing, or go onto a tour group. But that's still going with the flow. For people who are shy, going with a group of people may be scary, but you know what? You're all in this together. You're all in this boat together. And at the end of the day, you're going to come out and go, oh my God, I can't believe how amazing that was. And, it's like the first time I ever rode a roller coaster. I was like, I think 9. And I was scared out of my ever-loving mind. Right? It was Space Mountain, for God's sakes. I love that ride. But I was terrified. And my younger cousins, who were like a year younger than me, were like, come on, Shell, let's go, la la la. And I'm feeling stupid because it's like I wouldn't go on without my dad. And my poor dad, my dad does not like roller coasters. But I didn't know that. I was 9. Okay, this is like a bazillion years ago. And I got off the ride, and it was the last ride of the day because the park was closing. And the first thing I said was, I want to go again. And then it turns out I'm more like my mother, and I love roller coasters. And my mom gets motion sickness, but boy, she'd take that Dramamine before we go to Disneyland or Magic Mountain or Knott's Berry Farm, and boom, she was off. Because she wasn't going to let anything stop her. In her own way, even though there were things that I think she tried to control in her life, my mom actually did have more of a go with the flow attitude sometimes. And I don't think I ever saw that because, she was my mom. She could be strict sometimes, and, my dad was a little more go with the flow, but I don't think I noticed that till I was an adult. Just kind of like, yeah, but sometimes he doesn't go with the flow. So, nobody's perfect. People just are who they are. But think about the whitewater rafting thing, okay? Think about how you just get in and you just go. Think about the flow of the water, period. You think about like waves in the ocean. We just sometimes have to go with that flow. When you're in a boat, you find yourself drifting, right? Sometimes, or you find the boat drifting, or especially if you're like fishing, right? And the boat goes where it's going to go, and you just kind of go with it until you look up and you're like, whoa, Land got farther away or land got closer, whichever. But you're going with the tide. And that's what we forget to do sometimes, that we have to ride the tide. So, don't surrender to the bad things. Surrender to the flow, the good flow. And trust it. Trust is the biggest word in body mindfulness. If this were a Sesame Street episode, the letter T for trust would be our letter of the month, of the 30 days, the 30 non-consecutive days of body mindfulness. So we have to kind of think about that, okay? So the next paragraph. This card may come at a time when a cycle or trial is also coming to a close. Phrase any what-if questions in a positive way. What if this is going to be okay? What if this is exactly as it should be? This paragraph goes with what I just said. You look at that whitewater rafting thing. What if I drown? What if I fall out of the boat and no one can save me? That's probably, I don't know. I don't know the statistics on that, but like I said, I don't think they're going to bring you on anything that's going to be overly harmful. I don't know, but I know that when I've looked up the stuff, it's, that's always kind of been, there's different levels of them. There's certain areas that they won't go because they're too dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, and everybody has to be a team, right, in that boat. But what if you just get in that boat and that raft, what if you get in that raft and you have a great time? What if you get wet? Well, yeah, you're going to get wet. You're in water. You're in whitewater rafting. But what if you get in that boat and you have a great time? What if you decide at the end that, wow, I want to do this again. I got to go do this again. What if, but make them positive. Don't think about the negative. If you have a spidey instinct, then don't do it. But if you don't have a spidey instinct and it's just your fear coming up because you're afraid and you don't know what you've gotten yourself into, maybe your friends talk to you into it, you're like, oh my God, just think positive. Don't bring anything to you that is negative. Don't manifest anything negative. Think about a lot of these people, right? You have this one person who everything goes wrong for, but that's probably the person that when you really stop and listen to them talk, everything they talk about is how everything can go wrong. So of course, that's what Spirit's going to give back to you until you learn how to stop making it go wrong. That's why for me this weekend, when I kind of had that war games going on in my head, I had to stop and just be. I pulled out my journal. I did all kinds of weird crap in here, just drawing all this other stuff and stickers, and I love stickers. I know people think I'm too old for stickers, but fuck that, because I love stickers. But and I journaled around them, and I had to get out of my head. But I didn't fight it. I didn't sit there and go, why me? Why me? Why me? Why did this happen? How come this is happening to me? Why did I have to be born with a brain like this? And a lot of times I will do that because it doesn't seem fair when we have these moments. It doesn't seem like it's humanly possible sometimes to survive these things, and some people don't. So I consider myself very lucky, because the last time I felt like that, I didn't want to be here anymore. But not once did that thought come up in my head, because I knew somehow, no matter how long it took me to get through it, that things were going to get better. And that didn't just happen overnight. I've had to work on that. I've had to work hard on that. But I also know that putting out the correct energy and just kind of following the flow and going with the flow and listening to my spidey instincts on what I'm supposed to do next, and if I'm supposed to do anything next, I know that is what helped get me through it much faster than I think I've ever gotten through hitting bottom that hard. I hit bottom before I used to hit bottom and keep digging. But this time I hit bottom and said, no, how do I get back up? How do I get back up? How do I get up exactly where I fell? And because of that, I was putting the right energy out there. And so yesterday you saw where I was at, and today you see where I'm at. And I'm not 100% yet. I'm not 100% back to where I want to be. And my head is starting to hurt from all this thinking and all this stuff. But I know that by going with the flow, I've given myself more grace. I've given myself more compassion and more empathy. And sometimes when we hit bottom, whether you have a dinged up mental health or not, we forget those things. And instead of, comforting ourselves, we berate ourselves. And maybe those are the limited patterns. Maybe those are the limited beliefs that we've grown up with. Well, you just have to be stronger. You just have to be this. You just have to be that. You don't always have to be. giving yourself compassion and empathy and giving yourself some grace, that is strength. That is strength. That is knowing exactly what you need in that moment and dealing with it. It is harder to face what we are running from than it is to run from it. And the reason I say that is you can run and run and run. And when you stop, whatever's chasing you is going to stop. And it's going to, if it's running 10 feet behind you and you're running, it's going to stop 10 feet behind you until you turn around and say, hey, no more. And then it might get scared because it's not chasing you anymore. You're chasing it and you're saying, let's deal with this. Let's throw down now. Let's do this. Right? And that's the energy we put out to the universe. We have to make sure that we are putting the right energy out to our higher powers, to spirit, to the universe. Especially the universe, if that's, if you're a law of attraction kind of person. So this card is telling you right now, things are going to start getting better. But you have to ask the right questions. What if? Now remember, when I told you about manifesting, praying, or setting an intention, this or something better. Now, if you accidentally put something out there, I do not wish to manifest this into fruition. I put this in last week's, perspectives. But I do not wish to manifest this into fruition. And hopefully you'll negate it because you're sitting there going, nope. But remember, if you're going to say that, you have to change the feeling on it too. You have to tell yourself, hey, you know what? I do believe I'm worthy. If you sit there and say, well, I'm so happy and grateful that, this comes into my life. And you're sitting there going, why would they bring that into my life? Because I'm not worthy. And, you literally just negated your thing. So, positive, okay? I know it's not toxic positivity to want to manifest good things into your life. It is 100% pure grade A positivity to try to bring good things into your life, to know that you are worth it, to know that you are an amazing human being who deserves to walk this earth. No matter what you think you look like, and no matter what society has told you look like, when you look in the mirror, you have to love yourself, thick or thin, okay? Because like I said, body negativity doesn't care what size you are. Body negativity is going to come at you whether you're a size 0 or a size 24, all right? But there are people who are size 0 and size 24 who absolutely love themselves, who love their bodies to the fullest extent. And that's what we want. We want to be those people who are just happy with who we are in this moment at this time. All right, so the last paragraph. Sometimes we become paralyzed in the practical world, think control, because we are waiting for spirit to show us the way. However, the universe co-creates with us. We must be empowered as humans in this dense reality to show up for what we want and trust that spirit will do the same. If you are someone who is always asking for signs, try to take a break from that. Trust yourself as well. You know what? If you take a break from asking for signs, I will almost guarantee you're going to get your signs that you're asking for, even though it's telling you to take a break. Because I think for me, in my perspective, in my translation of this, we look for signs so hard that I think we overlook. The other day, sibling and I went out, and I was not in a good place. I was really not in a good place, but a yellow butterfly just, randomly flew up and flew past me. And I thought, you know what, I don't know how it's going to work out, but everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And then the next day I just imploded. But here's the thing. Somebody would say, yeah, well, that butterfly was full of shit. No, that butterfly was telling me, hey, you're about to go through something, but you're going to come out the other end and you're going to be okay. And you're going to come out better with more understanding and probably feeling a little more lighter and freer, like something has lifted off of you because you ran at your fear instead of away from it. And it's about acceptance sometimes. There's surrender, trust, acceptance. Sometimes we have to accept where we are in this moment at this time. And that really goes with body mindfulness. Like I said, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, change it. But don't hate yourself. Don't be angry with yourself. Don't be cruel to yourself. Just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I may want to change that, but you are an amazing human being. And like I said, body mindfulness. I changed it to body mindfulness because mindfulness is about being in this moment, in this time. So, let's see. However, the universe co-creates with us. We must be empowered as humans in this dense reality to show up for what we want and trust that spirit will do the same. If you are someone who's always asking for signs, try to take a break from that. So again, right here, we must be empowered as humans in this dense reality to show up for what we want and trust that spirit will too. This is, again, if you're asking for something, I'm so happy and grateful that, blah, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you. This or something better. Please bring me this or something better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Or, please, send this to me. This or something better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't want to try to fit a round peg in a square hole. But when you say this or something better, you're making that, maybe you got that round peg, but the square hole might become bigger now. Because you're giving them more room to work. You're giving your higher power, the universe, whoever it is, more room to work. Okay, so remember all this. I know it's scary. I know it's not easy. I know it can be hard. It can be a little freaky to not know what the next step is. It's like walking. Sometimes this is how, for me, it feels. It feels like I'm in the Grand Canyon walking with a blindfold on. Yeah. And if you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, the first time you see it, it is breathtaking. Literally takes your breath away because it's like, wow. And I'm not, I got a fear of falling. I got to tell you, I'm not sure who isn't, but yeah, that's what surrendering can feel like. It can feel like, but you have to trust that no one's going to let you go over the edge. You have to trust yourself that you're not going to go over the edge. You're not going to put a blindfold on in the Grand Canyon and walk out onto a rock that drops off. No, you're not. You might sit down with a blindfold on just to kind of hear everything, to be able to hear everything, hear the river down below, to hear the people wandering around you, to hear the birds, but you're not going to sit with that you're not going to walk around with that blindfold on, because that's kind of what we do now. We walk with this blindfold on, and then when we fall off the edge, we go, well, what the hell? Where were you, spirit? Where were you, universe? Where were you, God, higher power, whoever it is you turn your faith to? But they're sitting there going, well, take the damn blindfold off. Let us guide you, but you don't have to do it blindly. Let's work together. Think of you being blindfolded and your higher power, your spirit or the universe being your seeing eye dog, making sure you don't get hurt, making sure you go in the right direction, because that's going to help you learn how to trust. Obviously, I don't know why I have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways because there's people dumb enough to do this in this world. Do not walk in the Grand Canyon with a blindfold on. Okay? There, I've said it. That's your legal disclaimer. Do not do it. It's dangerous. It's dumb. Yeah, I've seen people go over barriers and I need to be alone with people on this rock, so I'm going to climb over the pole. And yeah, maybe you're a seasoned climber, but that doesn't mean the idiot behind you isn't. And I'm sorry, I know I'm being a little derogatory towards people that make dumb choices, but... And then, I remember one time I went to the Grand Canyon, and I think it was with the siblings, Sissy, an older sibling. And there was somebody who climbed over the thing, and we're all just watching this guy. And I don't think it was the same person, but about a week or two later, they had talked about how, somebody fell off at the top of the canyon. Don't do dumb things. Don't make bad choices. Let me put it this way. If you think something's a bad choice, just ask yourself, would I climb over the barrier at the Grand Canyon? No, you probably wouldn't. So you have to trust, all right? Trust that your seeing eye dog is going to do the right things for you, going to guide you in the right direction and help you along, okay? But again, just make good choices. Make good choices. That kind of went sideways, didn't it? That went a little more sideways than I expected it to, but sometimes my metaphors get away from me. I know. I admit, but hey, that's why I said a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything, because sometimes my metaphors get away from me. Just trust and, surrender to the flow, okay? Surrendering to the flow could be surrendering to fun. I have to learn that myself because I'm not good with that. I have a very controlled way of being, and slowly I'm learning how to go with the flow. And I did that this weekend, and the flow brought me through the heavy, scary, creepy, crazy rapids, and now I'm in calm waters again. And it feels good because I know that I made it through. And I'm proud of myself for that. And I think whatever you make it through, that is scary, that is painful, that is hurtful, that is just traumatic or whatever, when you come out the other side, you're going to look back and go, I did that. And you should be proud of yourself. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Tomorrow is Self-Care Wednesday. I'll be back here at the normal time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelly Marie Lucas. Anybody can watch. Or you can catch the replay on YouTube under the Aloha Perspective and my Facebook page, the Aloha Perspective. Also, if you want the shorter version of this, kind of like the drive-through version, I do this right after this show, the Aloha Perspective on TikTok. Okay, so again, have a great, great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.